Hello my people, today I am Brandon and today I am going to show you how to make a cosplay from scratch in 10 relatively easy steps. And we are going to make it right, with fabrics and needles and all that stuff. So don't forget to like and subscribe, because to make this cosplay and to edit and make this video, it took a really long time. You probably saw my cosplay before in one of my short videos, but here is a detailed explanation on how you can make any cosplay you like. Okay, there are actually two ways to make this. One is to buy the different articles of clothing from Amazon and other cheap sites and to just modify everything a bit. But the version I am starting with is the one where you buy the fabrics and sew everything per hand or with a sewing machine. Step one is to think of a character to cosplay, and that can really be anything. From every show, a background character. For my example, I am using Fizzeroli from Hell of a Boss, because that's the cosplay I already made, and we're just going with it. It would be too much work to start another one. Step two, the first real step, is you have to plan out your cosplay. Which pieces do you need? How much do you need to sew? Do you want to sew in a sewing machine? The best way to do that is just to sketch out your character on a piece of paper and then look at the different pieces you need. And my favorite way to plan out the character is to sketch it real quick. You only need to draw your person. It can be a stick figure or a person like I am doing, and then you just draw the outfit on top of them. You can draw the person something like this, more detailed. You can not draw it at all if you don't feel like it, but then you can just draw on top of it. For example, Fizzeroli has kind of these spikes in the front. And you just have to look, how long do you want it? And there's this back thing. And you can do this from different perspectives as well, from the side, from the front. I'm going to show you my actual sketch I made. That is the sketch I made, and I listed all the pieces I'm going to need for it here. And I colored it in different colors just to see the different parts you need to make. And if you're feeling really fancy, you can even make a kind of instruction manual for yourself. And I drew here the pieces I needed to make the pants, and that I needed to make them striped, and the different pieces you need to make the top, the gloves and socks I'm going to buy. And here is the manual for the tail I am going to still make, and this is still in progress. And the shoes I am probably going to buy and paint. It's a lot of work I still have to do. And here is the hat, real quick. You can make instructions, but you can also just wing it. It's a personal preference. Step 3. Now we are going to plan out the materials we are going to need. And you can do this in different ways, but first of all, you need to look how many colors you need. For example, you need red and yellow and blue and black and all that. And you need to calculate how much you need from each color. You also need to pay attention to what kind of fabric you want to use. For example, if you have sensory issues or something, that you don't use something that's going to scratch you, or there are many different kinds. There is, for example, cotton or polyester or anything, and you just need to research what works best for your purpose. For example, if you want to make a jacket, you need a little bit harder fabric, a little bit more stable fabric than if you just want to make a simple shirt or something. I recommend you just write down how many colors of fabric, how many colors of string, of sewing thread. That's also very important to get. Don't forget that. you just write a list of all the things you need, and then you go on one or multiple trips to buy the materials you need, and you just compile them. If you don't have the money all at once, you can just start with the things you need first. For example, I started with the pants and for my cosplay, and then I went out and bought the rest of the fabric later on. Step 4 is relatively simple. You just buy the materials, the fabric you need, and the sewing thread you need, and if you need some needles, you can buy those too if you don't have them at home already. There are places where they are relatively cheap, and I would avoid the more expensive places because I think if you're just starting out, some simple fabric that also lasts, some simple stable fabric like this is enough for the beginning. Step 5 is to make a sewing pattern, or just download one if you don't want to make it yourself. For example, I made all the patterns myself by just gluing some paper together with just some tape and then drawing the shapes out. And because the head from Frizzeroli is striped, I cut them up so I can then sew the different colors together. And for bigger pieces like pants or shirts, you can just pick some clothing that fits you well, and you can go along the edges with a pencil, and then you can use these patterns. But the easier way is just to go through the internet and Google for patterns for pants and then the style of pants you want to make. I'm going to put some link or photo of a website on screen right now. Step 6 is to cut the fabric to the shape of the pattern. So you have your pre-drawn or printed out patterns, and you just take your fabric and lay it really flat on the ground, and you pin this with some pin needle things, and you pin it on there. So you can take a colored pencil or just any kind of pencil that washes out, and you can draw it on exactly around the edges. And when cutting it out, you need to leave some seam allowance on the edges. You don't run into any problems if you begin sewing it together. Step 7, actually sewing the pieces together. That is the step that is going to take you the longest, but it's not that difficult. I am always using a kind of easy backstitch, where you just take the needle, stab it in, take it out, and then you stab it back. If you are hand sewing, or you just can use a sewing machine with the setting you like most. And that's the progress I've made on my head. That's the inside, and that's the actual piece that's going on my head, where these are going on the sides, then that's going together. And I've actually done a lot of sewing already, because this is my whole costume, where I have done the borders, and this thing needs to get some finishing touches. And I have done a whole pair of pants. And so you are going to work your way down your list. That's why I listed all the different pieces I need. So I can go step by step and just walk my way down until I have an entire cosplay. After you have sewn the bulk of everything, you can add some tiny details, like, for example, these bells. They are not necessary, but they are cute, and to make it really show accurate, I added these button things, but they are just fabric that is also sewn in, because real buttons are uncomfortable if you want to lean against something. So you can just use your imagination, and you can of course take creative liberty with your characters. You don't have to make them exactly like in the shows. Just Think of something and be creative. Step 9 is going to be the makeup. If you want to wear any, you can of course just leave this out, but you can do makeup. You can look up the character's face, and for Fizzarolli it would be a like tiny triangle on the nose and the black cheeks and everything. And of course here you can be as creative as you want as well and make different versions of the makeup. I would recommend making just trying it out before you really go to a convention or anything, because it's harder than you think it is. I only did the Fizzarolli makeup once before. I didn't take any pictures, but it was really ugly. But I think I'm going to get better. And step 10, and our final step that isn't really a step, is put all the pieces together, put everything on. You of course should put everything on in between to make sure it fits, but put everything on and just be proud that you made it yourself. Sewed it by hand, sewed it by sewing machine. Great! Okay, I really hope you liked my instructions on how to cosplay, and don't forget you don't have to follow them word by word. You can take out steps, add steps, you can just do it how you want. That's just a quick or a little bit longer guide on how you could be doing it and how it will probably occasionally work out. Because the most important thing on cosplaying or any other hobby you can have is that you have fun with it and that you like what you do. So do have fun. So make something amazing, and if you want to show me your cosplay, you can send it to me on Instagram on my direct messages on @coolbrandon1 on Instagram. You can send me your cosplay, send me your drawings. I would be really happy, and you will get a shout out in my next video if I don't forget it, but you will get a shout out. So with your permission, I can even repost it on my Instagram story on that channel. And till next time, I hope you people had fun with this video, and till next month, next week, whenever I want to do a long video again, with the time I have, because I'm writing a movie script right now, but that doesn't matter. And till next time with Badass Creativity and Productions. I have a logo now. You probably saw it on my door. Bye.